Hello, and welcome to the Cloud Native Partner Showcase show. My name is David Giard, and I'm a partner solution architect with Microsoft. On this show, we talk to our partners about some of the amazing things that they are building with Azure Kubernetes Service. Today, we have a special guest. We have Beltran Rueda Borrego with us today. Beltran, how are you, sir?
Thank you, David. Good, really good. Thanks for this opportunity.
What's your job?
Okay, my job is like senior engineering manager as part of Bitnami, part of Broadcom, and I was one of the original developers of this project that was started like 18 years ago. And during that time, have been working on VMs, cloud computing, but mainly focused on cloud native solutions, and be able to deploy with the best security practices.
You mentioned this project. What is this project and what problem is it trying to solve?
Okay. Yes, I'm going to talk a bit about what is a Bitnami and the Bitnami project, right? The Bitnami mission is to make it easy for everyone to use popular software, regardless of the location or the platform. In Azure Marketplace, there is a large catalog of virtual machines ready to deploy, and we have been populated in the past. But Bitnami first focus is the cloud native ecosystem. The problem that we want to solve for customers is to simplify the deployment and maintenance of open source software in Kubernetes. For that, we have as a software secure supply chain for providing up-to-date and secure containers, images, and Helm charts. Customers are able to deploy RabbitMQ cluster in very easy steps, providing options to have a high available configuration, easy to scale, easy to update, but also very strong on security position. Minimal containers to reduce the vector attack, minimal privileges for RBAC configuration, and more strict and following the more strict security frameworks. So traditionally, if a customer would like to use an open source software, they can go to an upstream project and they may provide a Helm chart or a container or any other format to deploy the solution. The infrastructure team will need to be familiar with that, and each of them is different policies, different base images, different distros. It could follow different security good practices. So what we provide or Bitnami offers is one of the largest catalog of open source software applications ready to deploy for Kubernetes platform, where you can find some popular like RabbitMQ or Argo CD that we will show later in the demo, and specifically for AKS and other Kubernetes platform. We verify on EKS clusters to ensure the full compatibility of those applications.
Let's talk specifically about one of your projects. I think you have one, Bitnami Helm charts. Is that the name of it?
Correct. Those are a Helm chart. This is the template format to deploy those applications. So we provide those Kubernetes applications as part of Azure Marketplace right now. Those hand charts has been tested and fully verified in AKS. Specific environments like AKS for federal governments as well, we are deploying there to verify them. So for deploying those hand chart, you you could get familiar with the CLI, with the Helm templating, etc. But also AKS Marketplace or Azure Marketplace has been we have been working together to simplify the experience. And for example, to deploy faster, you can do in minutes. You can deploy your applications in your own Kubernetes cluster or creating even your Kubernetes clusters. This also reduces a lot the operational overhead, right? You don't need to run several commands in your CLI, configure with the permissions. It's like you can, with some clicks, have them fully ready. Uh, those hand charts, again, ensure the enterprise grade reliability, right? The marketplace, we are working with the marketplace, and the marketplace and Azure Marketplace have very strict security policies as well. So we fulfill all of them to make it available for customers. Simplify the Kubernetes management from the Azure portal, from the console, and again, especially focus on security and reliability. Bitnami open source on Azure Marketplace are prepackaged, secure, rigorously certified by Azure Marketplace as well. and each app undergoes through the vulnerability scans and regular updates to ensure the security and the reliability.
So just to clarify, all these features that you just mentioned, faster deployment, reduced operational overhead, reliability, simple management, these are all features of your integration with Azure Kubernetes Service, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
This sounds amazing. I'd love to see a demo.
Okay. Let's see a demo of one of the two more popular applications there. In this demo, we will launch two Bitnami Kubernetes apps from Azure Marketplace. You can look for all the solutions available by typing Bitnami and selecting the containers Kubernetes apps from the categories section. In this case, we will launch the Argo CD solution, and if it's needed, your email to log in to the Azure portal. This process automatically will launch the configuration wizard. And one of the first parameters to select is the Azure subscription. And if you want to install an existing AKS cluster, or you prefer to launch a new one from scratch in the region you would like to deploy it, we will select an existing cluster, so the process will be faster. Then add the extension name you prefer, and if you would like to install it into the default namespace or a specific one for this application. The option for minor upgrades is also very useful to keep the application up to date. Bitnami will ensure those upgrades are tested and verified. The parameter section allows you to configure the application in many different ways. There is also an extensive documentation that we will check later in the demo. Finally, deploy the application, and that will take around 3 minutes. You can navigate through the configuration options and the template details that you have been used for deploying the applications. You can check the inputs. You can also check the output and the template. Now let's go to the Kubernetes cluster. In the Extensions and Applications menu entry, you can see the application deployed. In this case, you can configure the application, for example, to enable minor updates for the applications, or to check the configuration settings. In this case, we updated the application to use a load balancer. That way, the application is accessible through the browser. From the Azure UI, you can also check, for example, the services and ingresses. So you can see the accessible IP addresses, in this case for this application. By default, the application was not configured with any credentials. For security reasons, the Bitnami applications that are not configured by default at the startup, that password is automatically generated at boot time, so you can get it from the application's instructions. Azure makes it very easy to connect to the cluster. It is possible to get the number of pods or the status of the application. If you are familiar with kubectl, you can get all the information from the cluster, the namespace, the deployment in this case, the number of nodes and pods. And in this case, under the hood is a Helm chart installation. Getting the status, you can get the basic configuration details that you can get it. In this case, we're going to get the credentials for the web application. But you can also see other warnings and notes that are very helpful for you. Once we get the user and password, we can go to the application, and it's fully working in minutes and deployed in Kubernetes. Let's now add other application to the same cluster. In this case, RabbitMQ. You can navigate through the applications available from Azure portal itself, not needed to go to the marketplace. And the configuration is similar. Once it's triggered, you can configure an existing cluster, and in this case, we can choose a bigger number of replicas. There are step-by-step guides for those Kubernetes applications already available in GitHub. In the parameters section, you can find an extensive number of the configurable options available. In this case, we will customize the number of replicas to scale horizontally the Kubernetes application, in this case, RabbitMQ. Before deploying, you can also get some errors whenever you review and create. Azure validates all the fields, and you can go back and change it to a configuration. In this case, we are missing the name or the namespace. Once it's fixed, the application is deployed in a couple of minutes. RabbitMQ includes an administration panel to monitor the queues and messages in a simple way. In this case, the configuration is done as cluster IP, so it is not accessible out of the cluster. For connecting the application, a possible option is to create a tunnel from your laptop. That way the application is secure and not accessible from the internet. Azure Portal makes it very simple to connect and to use your own terminal or console. You only need to have installed the AZ command line and copy the instructions from the website. Then, checking the status of the deployment shows the basic instructions to connect to the application and the credentials that are generated at boot time. If you don't provide the parameters, that is also possible. The port forwarding commands allows you to connect in a secure way to the RabbitMQ cluster and the management interface. You only need to go to your browser and type localhost and the specific port. Once RabbitMQ management applications is available, we can check there are 4 RabbitMQ nodes configured from the UI. Let's demo now how easy are the second-day operations. For example, scaling up the RabbitMQ cluster. You can always do from the command line if you are familiar with kubectl or Helm. But the integration of Azure Portal and Kubernetes application makes you very simple to manage those configuration and updates from the UI. Let's increase the number of replicas from 4 to 10 and saving the configuration. Immediately forces an upgrade of the applications, and in a couple of minutes, the RabbitMQ starts scaling up the number of nodes until it is fully configured with 10 replicas. In summary, Azure Portal and the Bitnami Kubernetes applications integration simplify the development and the lifecycle management of applications, keeping them up to date, secure, and easy to use.
That's a really impressive demo. Thank you. Kubernetes operations can be complex. How does your platform help with monitoring and alerting for these AKS environments?
That's really good questions, mainly for the second-day operations, right? Second-day operations could be a headache for any Kubernetes operator. The Bitnami Kubernetes applications contain optional resources that will simplify the monitoring and the observability of the application. For example, those are mainly configured as Prometheus exporters. Prometheus is one of the standard for metrics. So you can get the metrics and expose in Grafana. That is one of also the very popular software to expose those metrics. Those exporters are simple to configure. Just adding some options like metrics enable to true, you start getting the metrics, not only the pods or the CPU or the memory, but the specific metrics of the applications. For example, Argo CD or RabbitMQ with the number of queues, the messages, so you can get full visibility of the application level, but also Kubernetes level metrics. So Azure also has a great integration with Grafana, and having those operational metrics exposed by Prometheus and showing by Grafana is very simple in Azure portal specifically. And all the Bitnami Kubernetes applications that we have in the catalog contain those Prometheus exporters, easy to enable them to get all the metrics that you need.
A lot of folks choose Azure Kubernetes Service for its scalability and reliability for their applications. Can you talk a little bit about how your application takes advantage of that within the context of AKS?
That's really good. Also, insight for developers, right? If you choose Kubernetes, is because somehow you are looking for an easy way to scale your applications, right? And that is one of the key features of applications on top of Kubernetes. The Bitnami Kubernetes applications available in Azure Marketplace has been verified and also validated with multiple nodes and configurations. All the applications contain the options to scale the cluster easily, vertically or horizontally. Right? Those solutions also include scalability good practices. For example, the affinity of the nodes. You can configure the CPU memory per replica. Those solutions are heavily customized for the use that you need, right? For example, RabbitMQ, the number of replicas can be changed at any time and the applications without any downtime issues, timeouts. The solution makes sure the configuration is consistent across the replicas, ensuring a smooth transition. So not only support those configuration changes, the Helm chart of the applications also have the availability to auto scale depending on the workload of the application, the number of the pods. So in combination of AKS features to auto scale the number of nodes plus the auto scaling of the application itself gives you the flexibility to manage the workload peaks or to reduce the cost whenever it's not needed.
I love it. What kind of feedback are you getting from your customers on this?
Some part of the feedback, yes, we have a very large community users of the Bitnami open source, right? And users who deploy applications in different environments. We are encouraging users to use AKS Kubernetes applications, and the adoption was pretty good and quick. Users who are already familiar with the solutions find this new approach very easy to use, very consistent, and very easy for the second day operations and to manage those applications. Uh, for example, some IT departments are encouraging other departments to use those deployment so they can self-service from the UI, from the marketplace to deploy the applications that they need without being needed an IT person to deploy for them.
So, are you done? Is this product completely baked, or are you still working on it? And if you are, I'd love to hear about what's on the roadmap. What's coming up?
No, that's good. I mean, we are pretty happy with the solutions that we have in AKS and adoption, but we are working very closely with Azure Marketplace team, and we have to plans to continue expanding the number of Kubernetes applications there. We are also improving the documentation, posting new guides, and how to manage those application clusters in Azure, and continue improving them based on the feedback from users. Finally, we are also working on a private offering with optimize it and secure containers, reducing the vector attacks. So we are also working with Azure Marketplace in that front as well. So very exciting for continuing this partnership.
Very exciting. And as a user, I really appreciate your focus on documentation. Well, Beltran, I really appreciate your time. This has been educational for me. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot.
And thank you for joining us today on Cloud Native Partner Showcase.